Oi you, it's time for another episode of Dorothy and the Dealer. Let's tune into the conversation.
Hi Mike, hi Mew.
Hello. How you going, team?
Mitch, you know that you start every podcast with a cough into the mic?
Do I?
Or a
Yeah. Well, I'm very sorry.
Poor people who
well,
listen
if we
to
were
this.
professionals, we'd have a cough button. Joe Rogan has a cough button.
Oh my gosh. If we were professionals, we probably wouldn't cough into the mic in the first place.
Well,
Do you get paid for this?
I probably would have get.
Yeah, you get paid for
probably
this. You
would
are
get
professional.
More of a lead-in time. Mitch, get your coughing out of the way. Let's go.
It wouldn't matter.
No,
I know.
then you just go eat some popcorn and come back anyway.
Exactly,
We've
and
done that
choke on the
before.
popcorn.
I think I'm a bit.
It's not like we just dragged you out of your car into here today.
Exactly.
I don't eat
Poor
that much
people who
popcorn.
listen with their
Fucking so easy.
headphones on and you're like...
Yeah, not a lot of people. Oh, I suppose a lot of people do listen with their
Look,
headphones
every
on.
podcast has to have a thing. And if
Yeah.
Mitch is clearing his throat is the thing, then it's like,
no.
yeah, because that's what you'll be known for. Hey, have you guys listened to that podcast? What's it called? The Clearing the Voice one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That guy.
Anyway, so how are you doing, Mike?
I'm
It's
okay.
a while since we've done one of these
Yeah.
podcasts.
It
Thinks
does
he might
actually
have his
feel-
kidney stone, isn't that right, Mike?
Yeah, I think I'm brewing up a little baby here. It's either that or a pregnancy.
Let's
I'm
not
hoping
talk
on the scale.
about
Well,
it.
at least it's not flatulence. I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Although that is a symptom. Yeah.
It
There you
can
go.
be. It
Oh
can
my
be.
gosh, this is a business podcast, people.
Okay, let's go.
not.
Come on, let's talk. Let's talk turkey.
That goes on the editing room floor. Yeah.
No, well, you're the expert on business, Mike.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah. I know
Anyway,
a thing or two. Yeah.
we want to talk about people starting businesses. We've actually talked about it a bit before on the podcast, but like in a really concise kind of way today, I think it'd be good to have a chat about what people actually need to know when starting a business and the 4 things people need to know.
I think it's a good time to
consistent.
talk about it. You've heard the Great Resignation. There is more people thinking about doing their own thing now
Yeah.
than there has been in a long time.
Why do you think?
Well, I think what happened in the last 3 years, working from home, working for other people have just kind of balanced out and went, is this what I want to be doing the rest of my life? Like if we had got through this or, I lose my job working for somebody else. And there's a lot of people now moving into that economy going, I could be using this skill set for multiple people and call it a business. So there's a lot of
Do you
people
think
thinking about
that-
starting a business at the moment.
Before we get into what we're actually going to talk about then, do you think that people are not delusional, I suppose, but thinking that they're going to get more out of doing it for themselves and not realising necessarily how much work might be involved or any of that sort of stuff in terms of a lot of people think it, because they're working for themselves that it's just going to be all roses and whatever. Do you know what I mean? But
Look, I wouldn't call it delusion. I think what happens, though, is you kind of go, working for a boss, it'd be better if I did it. There'd be more freedom in it.
Yeah.
How many people I talk to, they're like, I'm going to start a business so I can feel more free. And I
Yeah.
just laugh. Right? It's like, you're not going to feel more free when you start that business.
Yeah.
But you'll love what you do.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a reason that goes beyond the paycheck or the freedom to start a business because you're not necessarily going to get those things right away.
Right. So it's about if you're doing it for the reason, then it's a different story.
Yeah,
Rather than
absolutely.
doing it because you think that it's
Now,
gonna,
do I think in the long term that it could pay off with
Of
those two
course,
things?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not going to pay off like that in the short term.
Yeah.
No.
So what do you think? So what the first thing you said to me that the first thing that people need to have when they're starting a business is a concept. Can you explain that to me?
Look, this came from watching a lot of, I guess, business coaches do their talks or marketers do their talks, and this idea of if you build it, they'll come, and I think it's wrong, right? You don't teach people you don't go build a well and hope there's water there. I think what you have to do when you first start a business is you have to figure out where there's water. Now, this could be a niche. This could be a better way of doing something. But what you have to do is look at the skill set or the way I like to describe it to people is like every customer out there right now, everybody in the world has a problem that they have that they don't want or it's a result that they want that they don't have. And you as a business have to position yourself to go, how am I going to solve those two things?
Before you gloss over that, I think that's a really important point. The people have a problem.
There's a problem they currently have that they don't want.
That they don't want. or there's a result that they don't know how to get,
Yeah, that they want that they don't have.
And that's why that you're talking about the consumer.
I'm talking about the consumer.
Right?
And so every business needs a customer.
Yep.
Right. And so the first thing you have to, when I say finding water in a business, what I mean is, can you find a customer? Most businesses that never really get started is because they never figure that out. They never figure out the customer. They build up the business, the product, the service, but they never find the customer. And to me, that's a really expensive way to figure out that you don't have a business, because you put all this time, this effort, this money into this product only to realize nobody wants to buy it. And so the first thing you have to work out is the concept. Who's going to buy it, and what are they going to buy? How do I solve that problem better than anybody else on the marketplace?
Right.
For these types of people? Or how do I get that result better than the current ways of getting that result out in the marketplace?
And so do you think that that obviously has to align with whatever area is of your value, right? Of highest value to you?
Yeah, it's got to be something you're interested in. It's got to be something the world needs. It's got to be something you're skilled at. And if you're not skilled at it, then you best figure out a way to become skilled at it. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy. So.
Right. So that's a concept. So explain then, you said that the next thing you need is a why. What does that mean?
Well, that's part of the concept is your why. But the next thing you would need then would be more.
So what do you mean by the why? And so your concept has to be ingrained in a why, right?
Absolutely. Because it's not always going to be easy. And so one of the things we know as human beings is that once we're comfortable, our drive disappears.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to be comfortable on this journey. Anytime you go to forge a new path, and when you want to pioneer at a new path, it's not going to be comfortable the whole time. And so there's going to be a point where you're comfortable and you're going to want to give up. And you're going to hit a challenge and you're going to go, I don't need to do this. So you need a why that takes you beyond that problem.
So I see that as a second, thing you need. I think you need to differentiate it from the concept, because I think the concept, that's just how I see it. The concept is the idea, right? Or is that problem you're going to solve, or the result you're going to get better than other people. But the reason you want to do it has to be so super clear, because if you're not clear with that, then like you said, as soon as you run into a hurdle, you're just going to stop.
Well, the reason I say it's the same thing is I don't even think you can come up with that concept properly until you have that why.
Okay.
Because, all you're going to come up with is what I call a Me Too business, where you look over and you go, I could do that. And the problem with that is if somebody's already doing that, how do you get the customer? Right? Mm-hmm. If I'm already buying, say Mitch starts a coffee shop, and I go, look, I can do that. Unless I'm going to do something better or solve a problem or give an outcome that's better than what Mitch is doing, how do I attract Mitch's customer? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or how do I attract a new type of customer that doesn't want to go to Mitch? Mm-hmm. So if I do the exact same thing as Mitch, then I'm not getting that. I think you have to have a why, a purpose that drives you to even figure that out.
Right.
Because I don't think you can look at it until you've got something that makes you obsessed with going, I can do this better.
Mm.
Right.
And I think you have to become obsessed. If you're looking for a business that's just going to give you freedom or take you what you perceive to be freedom or out of what you perceive to be your 9 to 5, then that's crazy. People buy businesses to rescue their lives and end up drowning, Like they go out and they buy the local deli, or they go and they just ignore all the figures. They just listen to the sales pitch of this person who's trying to sell the business, and then drop 200 grand into it, and then realize, oh my God, I'm in a worse position than I was in before, and I can't get out of it, and it's going backwards. And so people have to know why they're getting into something.
Yeah. I think that's important to kind of point out, right? Everybody goes, I just don't want to work for a boss. And you get into a business and you realize the boss you're working for is far worse than the one you had. Yeah. You go, I just want more money, and I'll sell the business for $1 million. Oh, yeah. When the reality is 68% of businesses close their doors. They owe more money than they ever made.
Yeah.
That's the reality. The reality doesn't match up to the fantasy. It doesn't even come close. And so you want to be obsessed. I think that's a really important point here is you have to obsess about this. You have to, we call it drive in a business, right? You have to be driven. Like I think about, I run Evolve, right? But I think about Evolve like every single day. Every time I get a break, every time I hear somebody
Go to
talk
bed
about
thinking about
anything,
it,
I'm
wake up
like,
thinking about it.
I'm just thinking about Evolve. Like, how can I make that better? How can I do it better than this? You know, I want people to not go, hey, you should have saw Mike 10 years ago. I want people to go, you should see him now.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
amazing 10 years ago, but look at him fucking now.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I like that. So then what's next? Once you've got that concept and that why, and you're starting a business, what do you need to know?
You got to figure out who. So you got to figure out who wants this, and then you got to know everything you can about that customer. What's their journey? What caused them to want to buy in the first place? Where did they look? Right? Why would they want what you have to offer? Right? Why do they need this business to exist? You got to really figure out who it's for.
And it's important because, excuse me, a lot of the time people think it's everybody.
Well, I think there's the old adage that says if it's anybody, it's nobody.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't focus on a single person, you'll never catch. It's like the. I remember when I grew up, I would go fishing with my dad, and we caught what were called bullhead, which was a type of catfish.
Right.
And if you tried to chase the fish, you never got a fish.
Right.
Right. If you're like, oh, there's one over there, and you threw in your line, you reeled it, and you never got one. You had to like know the fish you were going for, put the right bait on the line, and just wait. And I think it's knowing what you're trying to catch. If you're trying to catch everything, you're not going to catch anything. Ever catch like butterflies and stuff? And you'd walk in and you see a big field of butterflies and you think, oh, I'm definitely going to catch one here. And you couldn't catch them because you're just trying to swipe at every single one that goes by. You got to almost pursue the one to catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing in the business.
Okay, cool. So then once you know your concept, which includes your why, and then you know the who, what do you need to look for then?
Well, then you got to know what your hook is, right? So you got to
What
have
your
an
offer
offer.
is.
And so you got to have, in my opinion, you got to have 3 offers. You got to have the core one that you do, and it's got to be better than anybody else. It's the core product. Now, most people, while they don't do that particularly well, most people kind of do that. That's the basics of business. Then you've got to have a downsell offer because there's a percentage of those that won't buy your core, but they would buy into you. So they just need a little certainty. So what would be the downsell or the incentive offer? And then to me, the majority of the people that show up aren't going to be ready to buy yet. So what's that educational offer? What's that offer that I can't say no to that's going to trade me from an analytic on your marketing machine into an actual customer I can build relationship with, an actual customer I can build trust with? What's that look like? I think you have to have those 3.
So your core offer, and then for the people who aren't ready for that, you're offering a downsell. Give me an example.
What's your incentive offer? So that
Right.
could be a 2-for-1. That could be a free consultation.
Right.
That could be a short-term, like let's say, if I have a 1-year membership at a gym, that could be a 30-week blitz or a 30-day blitz.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the dressed-down version that gets them in so that you can start to establish trust with them, and then you upsell them back into the full package later.
Yeah. And then for people who aren't ready for any of that, something that's just an offer that's
what are they going to
educational.
find valuable that
Right.
they're willing to become a customer for? You could charge for it, not much. So I think the new model is you charge very little, like $1 for it.
Yep.
And then that allows you to start establishing trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And then what's the final thing then? What's
The final thing
you
is
need to-
structure.
What does that mean?
So structure is how this business is. So in all honesty, it's probably best to talk to an accountant at this point once you figure this out. But it's
To an accountant.
Yeah. So you want to know how you're going to deliver. Are you going to be hiring employees? Is this going to be an online product? What's the business name going to be? Are you going to have a bricks and mortar shop? Or how much do you expect to sell within the first year? All of these have a financial impact on you, and you want to kind of figure out what that model is going to be, so that you can start to put the blocks in place.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So whether it's online, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, how it's getting delivered, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, look, so let's take one that like a lot of people do where they tie into somebody else's business, like an MLM or an advertising or affiliate-based business, right? I look at that and I go, well, what's the model of that business? What's the actual structure? If I don't work out that that's an advertising model, meaning I have to build up a huge database of people that follow me so I can put products in front of them. If I don't work that out, that business will never be successful.
Right.
If I think it's something else and I try to build it that way, I'm never actually going to get that business model to be successful.
Right. So you have to have an understanding of the mechanics of how it's
the
going to
structure,
actually
yeah.
work and the
Yeah,
structure.
absolutely.
Okay.
And then you should talk to an accountant to make sure that financially you're benefiting from that model.
Right.
because every model's different and has different nuances and needs different insurances and different protections.
And what you need to be able to make it using that model.
Yeah,
as
because
well.
it's not the money you make. Money you make at the end of the day is great for the ego. It's the money you keep that matters, right? That's what's
Yeah.
going to feed your family.
Yeah.
And so an accountant is a really important person in that process.
Right.
That's a really important point. The money you make is great for the ego, but the money you keep is what makes you.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really important point.
So the concept, which includes the why, the who, what's the offer, and the structure. They're
What's the
things-
three offers and what's the
What's
structure?
the structure? So, just to finish off, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone who's about to start a business?
Have a plan.
Have a plan, which is all of that stuff, right? Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Look, prepare. So it comes back to my Cub Scout days, right? Prepare. Just outwork the competition. You know, I think the advantage in business is that the majority of your competition doesn't prepare; they just wing it.
Right.
And I think if you can
You're
really
a
commit to the
step
fact
ahead.
that you're just going to prepare, plan, as Mitch said, and really put in the work,
Yeah.
you're probably going to have a step up on the majority of your competitors.
I like that.
The other thing is that getting into business, there's two ways to get into business. You establish a business or you buy an established business. If you're buying an established business, whatever you're being told the business is, quarter it.
Oh, look,
Quarter it.
Understand valuations, I think.
Yeah.
Understand valuations and understand how to evaluate a business, but this is probably an entirely different goal.
That probably
Yeah, it
is.
is.
Yeah. Really cool.
it
Good
is.
job. If you're looking to bulletproof your business, here at MJB Seminars, we have the tools and strategies to supercharge your profits and stop you from becoming one of the 97% of organisations that fail within their first 10 years.
So you can learn more about this truly unique system by liking and following us at MJB Seminars over on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to Dorothy and the Dealer podcast so you never miss a business episode again.
Registrations for our business course are by application, and you can express your interest by emailing evolve, EVOLVE, at mjbseminars.com.au.